breaking news in the way that it's been weeks since he decided he wanted to bail on Brooklyn. Not that surprising, right? The fact that he wants out, the fact that he's not happy, the fact that he wants to try something else. Not surprising. However, what's a little surprising is there has not been that much movement at all with regards to him wanting to bail. For instance, the Suns were one of the teams where he wanted to go, according to reports. But they didn't have much to offer, and when they signed DeAndre Ayton, that took them out of the running. The Heat and Raptors reportedly are still in the mix, but they're not exactly falling all over themselves to get KD either. However, according to Woj, a new challenger has approached. A new challenger has presented itself, and it's none other than the Boston Celtics. Isn't that interesting? Like, well. My half fam apparently has an interest. According to Woj, quote, Boston's ability to include all-star forward Jaylen Brown as a centerpiece in offers does help make the team formidable in its pursuit. That's interesting. Shams also added this, quote, the Celtics offered Brown, guard Derek White, and a draft pick to the Nets for Durant, sources said. The proposal was rejected, and Brooklyn has asked Boston in any proposal to include Brown, Defensive Player of the Year Marcus Smart, draft picks, and potentially one more rotation player, those sources added. End of quote. Of course, they're going to ask for a lot, a hell of a lot. And, of course, this worked its way back to Jaylen Brown, who tweeted SMH. He popped in on Twitter with just that, SMH. Now, I don't know if that tweet means he's already going to Brooklyn and he's shaking his head about it, or if he's merely shaking his head about the speculation and about the trade possibility. If the offer was Brown, White, and a pick for Durant, I could see why that was ruled out of hand quickly. I could see why that was rejected. That should be swatted out of the building. I can see why Brooklyn would want a hell of a lot more. And I can see why they would ask for Smart, more picks, and a rotation player as well. I know why they're asking. However, if I'm Boston, I would be very, very careful about that. You were just in the finals. You had a 2-1 lead in the finals. And you'd be blowing that up by getting rid of an all-star and a defensive player of the year. I mean, obliterating something for something else when it might not necessarily be broke. Don't get me wrong. When Kevin Durant is healthy, he is one of the best players on the planet. Maybe even arguably the best player on the planet, not named Giannis, when he's healthy. Because he's only played 90 regular season games since 2019. And he's about to turn 34. And he's about as prickly as they come. And he's won only one playoff series in Brooklyn. 34. And thank you, Alvin. Way to get that in. Today, before he turned 34. Thank you. The fact of the matter, too, if he doesn't feel enough love, he bounces. He's proven that time and time again. Like, you already had Kyrie Irving, right, in that locker room a few years back. Have you already forgotten how horribly that went? You know what team chemistry means. You know how much it matters. Because that team got a hell of a lot better the second Kyrie walked out that door. I'm not saying that Durant is that toxic. I'm not saying that Durant is Kyrie when it comes to locker room poison. And he is a better player than Brown. And he is a better player than Smart. But is he better than both Brown and Smart? Are the Celtics, minus Brown and Smart, and a rotation player, and picks, closer to an NBA title than they were a few weeks back? Let me rephrase that. Or not rephrase that, but ask that again. Think about that for a minute. Are they, The Celtics, minus Brown and Smart and a rotation player and picks, closer to an NBA title than they were a few weeks back. I'm not so sure. There was a time when any team would throw anything and almost everything they had to get Durant. Now may not be that time. And the Celtics sure as hell may not be that team. We are talking about two of the three most important pieces to the Celtics. A Celtics team that was up 2-1 in the finals. And you'd give that up for a guy that you practically erased in a sweep 3 months ago. Are you sure that's something you want to do? I mean, clearly it's something they're thinking about, or they really would not have risked pissing off a young cornerstone the way they just did. Or, and I like this part even better, maybe that's not what they did. Maybe it's got nothing to do with Boston. Think about that for a minute. Maybe it's not Boston. Maybe all the smoke is coming from Brooklyn, which to me would be about the most hilarious thing ever. Like, nobody's really interested in making a move for our guy. Our guy doesn't want to be here, but nobody's making a move or an offer interesting enough for us to move our guy. What do we do now? Oh, I know. We'll just make up a trade. We'll just pull a trade out of our ass. I'm just talking hypothetically here. This guy wants out. Nobody wants to pay our price. What do? Let's just make something up out of thin air, theoretically. Just pull it right out of our ass. Leak it to the media. Stir up some bleep for one of our rivals in the East. I got to tell you something. I'm not saying that that's what they're doing. I'm saying it would be smart as hell to do it. One of the better things they've done. I mean, it might not actually lead them to getting a deal done, but what it would do is create some havoc and some chaos for the defending Eastern Conference champs. And that's not a bad thing if you're Brooklyn. I mean, if you're Brooklyn and you're swimming, not even swimming, but drowning in a sea of mediocrity, and you're not getting any better yourself, maybe the way to improve yourself is to make the competition worse. Like, one of Boston's strengths in the playoffs was their team chemistry. If you're Brooklyn and you can jack with that, that's a win in and of itself, even if you're getting no bites on the line for your player. If Brooklyn does have to run it back with Kyrie and KD this year, their team chemistry is going to continue to suck. They can't improve that. But if you can mess with everyone else's team chemistry, that almost makes your team chemistry better. Almost. In other words, if you can't improve yourself, maybe you can still get better by making somebody else worse and just making a bunch of stuff up and leaking it. I'm not saying that's what they did. I'm saying it's smart if they did.